family. Welcome to the Future is Female podcast. I'm Zachary King, and I'm here with the beautiful
Mahalia Seeley.
Mahalia, how you doing?
I am doing pretty good today.
That's what's up. You got a glow to you, girl. I see you, you know?
Yeah, I feel it. I feel so energized. I just feel good. I feel good.
Happy to hear it. Yeah. Tell me what's been going on, though, since the last time you was on the show. What's been happening?
A lot has happened.
Okay.
As you know, I got really sick.
Okay.
Right? Literally, my life was on the line.
Yeah.
I am here today. Praise the Most High.
Okay.
And I just feel like that was a reset for me.
Okay.
Just reset physically, which I needed, and just reset with getting rest. And I was able to just rest from everything. So yeah, it was a good reset for me.
So let me ask you a question, because I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that is something that a lot of Black women, especially like entrepreneurs and business and my boss babes, they ignore so much, and even when it comes to their own personal, well-being, for the sake of their families and their business and so forth and so on. So what words would you give to those women who may be in that same type of boat situation?
Take time to care for yourself, and not just thinking of self-care, but go to the doctor. Because so many times, I've spoken to women that I work with, and we're just always I just always feel so tired. I feel so fatigued. I'm fine, but I'm not really fine. Go get checked out. Just do some tests, right? Go to your regular appointments, because let me tell you, I was one of those people that was not going to any appointments. And I think if I was, I probably would have noticed some things sooner. Just really take your health seriously. Stop ignoring the little aches and pains and the discomforts. Take time to focus on you, because if you're not here, everything you're working on
won't matter, right?
It won't matter. So take time to rest.
That's real, because usually when you hear them type of scenarios, it's always the man. It's always men need to go to the doctor. Don't wait until it's too late. But women go through it too.
Yeah.
Women go through it just as much as men go through it. So I'm grateful and for we to have that really transparent conversation.
Yeah.
When you was in the hospital, what was going through your head? What was going through your head?
I feel like I was kind of blank. My mind was a bit blank.
Okay.
Which was good, because I feel like I've been thinking about so much. So much has, continually been on my mind, all the time. So I feel like a lot of the time I wasn't thinking a lot about things.
Okay.
But what was on my mind was just I kept telling people I wish I can get a month. I can just get a break. Even from my kids, just let me find myself again. If not a month, at least a week. Let me get a week. I don't know how many times I said that. And I'm that's exactly what happened. I got the week I wanted, right? Because I kept repeating that over and over, just not the way I was expecting it to be.
Words got power.
Right? And I got the month I wanted. Again, not the way I was expecting it to be, but I don't know. It just, like I said, it was a reset. I just really thought about what's really important in my life, and focusing on that. I feel like my focus was drifting a lot into just things and people who, my attention really don't need to be there.
Okay.
So now I just feel so much more focused. A lot of the negative thoughts I had, I'm not having them anymore. And if they do come up, I'm look, you're not welcome here.
No, that's real.
So yeah, I was just thinking about look, I'm too young for this. I have young kids. I need to do better. So
no, that's real. And I remember going through something when I went away to prison, right? And you know, thank God I never been in the hospital, but when I was in prison, and I remember, you know, it's at a certain time, like everything shuts down. It's quiet, right? So you got a lot of time to your thoughts, you know. And I remember me, initially, them thoughts was really scary. You know, I was really afraid to be alone with my thoughts. And I know that sounds crazy, but it was like when them doors slam behind you at night and you in that room, it was like, you know, I'm like, damn, I didn't know so many of y'all in here with me. My personalities, like, you know, it was just like, geez, and all my thoughts. And not all of them was, I mean, there was some positive in there, but a lot of them was things that I felt like I kind of ignored and put to the side. You know, it was kind of like, I felt like I was just in a space in which I needed to kind of prioritize and kind of like look, because I became very much like, well, I am this way anyway, but I look my problems dead in the eye and I try to deal with them. But if I'm gonna be completely honest and transparent and vulnerable, there was a lot that I just kind of packed away and didn't want to address, you know? So so when I was away, that's why I asked that question, like, what was going through your mind? You know, what was you know, because it's so easy. This thing when you know, this everyday life that we have where you're just constantly ripping and running and just you really don't get a chance to really sit down and think, you know.
Yeah, and face yourself. I think that's the other thing, like you just said, really facing yourself and not running away, because the busyness of every day can make you run away or not even really think about it. Like it's in your unconscious.
No, for sure.
So when you get that time and it's like it's coming up to the forefront, it's like, look, you can't run anymore. Face it head on, deal with it, and move on.
Sure. No, absolutely. So since our video, right, we had a really dope video that I don't think it went viral, but it just got a lot of traction. And one of the things that we were talking about is accountability within Black women.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask the question, right? And I just want to throw this out here at you. Do black women have a problem with accountability?
The answer could be yes and no.
Okay, give me the yeah. Give me the no. Let's start from that. Give me the no. They don't got a problem with accountability.
No, we don't have a problem with Black women don't have a problem with accountability.
Okay.
Because we are accountable for so much, and we show up for so much. Like again, talking about just working all the time, focusing on family, focusing on career goals, just focusing on other people and being the save all, right? You're always gonna show up no matter what. So I think Black women are accountable, do have accountability for in that space.
Okay. So let me give you a little bit of pushback. Okay. So the things that you're saying that you are, responsible for, is that self-inflicted, or is that like something like was that like something you volunteered for? Or was that something that was or something that you went out there and got yourself?
It's a mix, because it's society and the environment that you grow up in, right? If you grew up, let's say, in a very religious household, right? The thing is, like when you become a certain age, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have kids, maybe I'll be a homemaker, right? Stay at home mom. Or if it's like, even if you're raised in a religious family or whatever family you're raised in, but if you're like focused on society and what mainstream and what society is telling you to do, like you need to pursue this, you need to, get all the education that you can get, you need to climb the corporate ladder. So in a way it could be self-inflicted, but in a way it's also the brainwashing, right? It's what you grew up with. You grew up in this box, in this lane, so you only know this lane. And sometimes, because you're placed in the lane, it's like, well, I just need to do whatever other people in my lane are doing. And sometimes, again, you make the choice. You might see like, oh, I'm in this lane. I really don't want to be in this lane. Maybe I want to try something else, whether it's good or bad. and
Okay.
the effects it can have in your life, good or bad.
So, as you know, I mean, you are a part of my women's networking group. But for those who don't know, I have a women's networking group, and it grew to about 80 women. And it was only just a few guys, but grew up to about 80 women. And we had to rebrand a little bit, so things got kind of shaken up, and we're in the process of growing now. But one of the common themes I see with the women that come into the group and other women is that Black women take on y'all volunteer yourselves to take on the extra load, right?
I agree.
And then what happens is y'all get burnt out, overwhelmed, frustrated, and then you want credit for taking on the extra load. And I think where we as men could now this is where the word coming at. Because it's like, you're not understanding all what I'm doing for you. And it's like, but I didn't ask you to do it, and I didn't ask you to take on this extra responsibility. And now you're frustrated with me because I'm not giving you your credit for doing certain things. And it's like, so you see what I'm saying? So it's like this constant disconnect. But that's one of the things that I see from a lot of the women that are, and I think it comes from a good place. It comes from a place of women wanting to, just be their very best, But I think what happens is it turns bad because y'all become so frustrated in the process. Y'all almost become mean-spirited.
Yeah, I agree. Overwhelmed. I know my last job, that's what was happening to me. Like, I was becoming so, like, I wasn't mean. I was just like, look, no more nice Mahalia. Like, in meetings, my face, I had like the face like, okay, I'm ready to take on whatever you're saying. I'm not backing down from anything.
Right.
And like you said, I agree that sometimes, we overextend ourselves. Like, you want to volunteer, you want to, let people see, like, I'm not a selfish person. Right. I care about my community. I care about other people. So you're always volunteering, doing different things. And again, if you're talking about like a partner or something, and like you said, oh, she's doing all these things and I didn't ask her to do it. But then there could be pushback if she's not doing extra things. And it's like, well, you just do the bare minimum. Like, you don't do anything else. You never take the initiative, right? You're not thoughtful.
Okay.
So I think when it comes to a partner, it's different than if it comes to like volunteering to different things.
Right.
But if it's like, oh, you're just doing too much, just sit down and have a conversation about that. Like, look, I appreciate everything you're doing for me. This is maybe your love language.
Okay.
But, have that conversation however you guys will have it.
All right. So here's a little bit of pushback. Well, I'm not going to give you the pushback on that. What I want to ask you is, because you talked about, we're talking about Black women and accountability. And you said that they is yes and no. So my question of it is, who is it that hold Black women accountable?
Who is it that hold Black women?
Because I could think of more than a few content creators and more than a few, people who have went and said things about Black women, which was true. And it seemed to me as if they just received nothing but hate as a result of it. It seems to me as if you're not telling Black women what they want to hear when they want to hear it, if you're not telling them how beautiful they are, how great, I think that they'll turn on you. And I have seen that even with my platform, to where it's like 1 minute they're telling me, they're championing me. Oh, I love what you're doing for Black women. And then they'll hear a 30-second clip in which they don't like. And all of a sudden I'm receiving hate. My account is getting hacked. And it's really unfortunate because it's like we can't, I'm feeling like we can't have that hard conversation with our Black women.
I think it's the level of maturity a lot of people have. And thinking of who can hold Black women accountable, it's the community.
All right, so I remember who comes to mind is Kevin Samuels, right? Yeah, I know. I see that to your face. No, he comes to mind. He really do comes to mind because initially he was holding the men accountable, and the few women that knew about the channel championed that. And then the moment he started telling women about, checking them on unreal expectations and checking them on just their poor behavior and things that they needed to improve on, they really hated him. And it was just really unfortunate. And then a few months later, and some people might remember this, but Monique came out, right? And Monique was talking about women in the airport walking around here with bonnets. And Monique put on, now, if anybody ever followed Monique's career, they know that her mouth is crazy. Every other word is a swear. But she put on her most, like, she tried her best. She was like, listen here, my black babies. I need you to, take that bonnet off. And she said it in the most sweetest possible way you could possibly say something. And they dragged Monique. They dragged her. It makes me feel like, I may be wrong. It makes me feel like the only one that could ever check a black woman will be a white man.
That is not true. And that's really absurd for you to say.
Okay.
Again, it comes back to maturity and what people consume in society and even media. Class, right? I think a lot of the younger women are lacking, they lack class.
Where are the women old heads at?
Again, right, the younger women and the older women, because, right, they don't have the example of it.
Right.
And even if they do see an example of it, right, it's like, oh, you're not being black if you're classy.
I just had this conversation the other day, and we just had this, because I was just saying that black folks are like, I hate to be so corny, but we like a box of chocolate, okay? We are a sorted bunch. We have, we come from multi backgrounds, we got multi talents, but we're all chocolate, right? So it's like, but I feel like we as black folks, only one type of chocolate is acceptable. It's like, if you're not the thugged out, masculine, this chocolate, your chocolate not really as good as the smart chocolate, as the nerdy chocolate, as a square, as a modest, as a celibate. If you're not busting that thing open, your chocolate is not as good as that celibate chocolate. You feel me?
Well, there are different grades of chocolate. So let's say that there are some more rich ones and, some ones that are not the best.
Right. Right.
But like just going back to like class and just examples, I think that's a big thing that's missing in our community. It's for men and women, for them to see functional examples. I feel like in our community, dysfunction has been normal for so long.
We celebrate it.
Yeah, we celebrate it. That if when you see something or a person or whatever, you see them and they're functioning and they're functional, it's like what's wrong with you? You're weird. Like we're all in dysfunction, and this is normal to us now. We're passing this down. That when one person starts to actually function normal again, it's like, whoa, what's happening? And I just think it takes time. The more people who start to gravitate, and it's like, look, I'm going to choose to be functional. I'm going to get out of this dysfunction and stop perpetuating it. I think the more people do that and stand on it, that's going to make a difference.
Well, here's my solution to that, right? I think what needs to happen is, and goes for both men and women, men have to stop financially incentivizing bad behavior within women, okay? And women have to stop sexually incentivizing bad behavior in men. Like if you think of, let's think of the most toxic woman you could think of, right? The woman who would like leave her kids for days and weeks on end without nothing to eat. They'll leave her with the grandmom. Women who would, instead of helping their son or their daughter, with their homework or at the club, at the bar, at the hookah lounge on a Tuesday, and the women who will put a man over their kids. Is she ever without a man trying to have sex with her or offering her rewards for that bad behavior? It's the same thing goes for a man. Think of the man who is out, refuse to get a job, who refused to better himself, who refused to play a vital role in his kids' lives. Is he ever without a woman that's not willing to sleep with him and even procreate with him? And I'm on that note, like, listen, I have gotten to the point where it's like, listen, fellas and women, if you meet someone and they may be, not where they need to be, you don't need to be procreating with that person, especially. Like, it's okay. Get your little rocks off. I get it. May have to go through your phase. But do we need a duplicate of them? Probably not.
Right. So that makes me think of a question to ask you.
Sure.
Right? And again, it goes back to people who want functionality, like standing on that functionality, even though it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about that, men and women who are just like, they're not cut from the best cloth.
Right.
So should people who want better, right? They're like, I'm trying to be an example, or maybe you're not trying to be. I'm just trying to live my life to the most functional way that I can.
Right.
Should they be celibate and only wait until they meet someone who is like,
that's a heavy question.
Yeah. Who is like, okay, I see we can both function healthy together. Should they be celibate? Because it's so easy, right?
Oh, you mean celibate together?
No, celibate until they meet that person. Because it's so easy, right? When you're living your day-to-day life, you're going to meet people, you're going to interact with people.
Right.
And sometimes some of these toxic people you connect with.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You connect with. So
that won't work for me. I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm a much better person when I have sex consistently. So I think
right, so you're part of the problem.
I'm a much better person when I'm having sex consistently. I'm serious. Like, if I'm not having sex and my sex life sucks, you know it. It's like, oh, he need to get some. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and then it's like, so yeah. Because I have been in situations where I have dated women and they're like, I want to remain celibate for while we date. And, I'm like, hell no.
Is that realistic?
Like, hell no. Like, you're not going to get me to be the man that you want me to be. And I don't have a reward for that work. Nah. And that's just not for me. But I don't knock a brother or I don't knock a person, especially if it comes from a place of religious, reasons. Like, if you're like, hey, listen, I'm going to hold out till the Lord send me, the one. I can't, it's like, all right, well, and I'm not in a position where I want to compromise, sex to where to meet someone. But I will say this though, and let me say this: as I have gotten older, I will say that sex is just not as important as it once was. I think that's the reason why it's hard for me to date now. Because if I'm gonna be honest, if you take away sex, some of the women that are, oh man, I'm about to get grilled up. they don't have much else to offer. It's not a lot of deep conversations. It's not a lot of, it may be a little bit of motivation. Like, yeah, I believe in you to do it, but it falls very short. It's like, it's the same thing as if you take away a man's money and it's like, well, what else he got to offer? You know what I'm saying? It's like, he ain't got nothing else. You know what I'm saying? So I be feeling that way. Like, a lot of times it's like, if you take away sex, it's like, I like to look for compatibility. Like, I like the fact that like we can, it may not necessarily make all this sense on paper, but when we get together in the room, I can feel the energy, and you bring out the best in me, and I bring out the best in you, and we're just a blessing to each other. I like that type of stuff. I look for that with dealing with a mate.
So do you have female friends?
Yes, plenty.
Who you don't have sex with?
Plenty.
Right. So isn't it? So what's the difference with a female friend?
My female friends, right? Yeah. So let me give you an example. I had a female friend. Shout out to Coco. She was on the platform too. Shout out to Coco. So I had a female friend, and she was like, we went somewhere, and she was like, Zach, you need to open up my door. Absolutely not. Like, absolutely, you're my female friend. I'm not opening for my male friend. Get yourself in the car. Now, if we was dating and you was my lady, I will open up your door. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, when we going out, my mind is like date mode. Okay, open the door, open this, be that. Otherwise, if we going to Walmart, get your ass in the car. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we going to Target. Can you just get in the car? You know what I'm saying? So, I get it. You want to be treated like a lady, and I get it, all that. We cool. But it's sort of like, It's like, I want to be treated like a man. You know what I'm saying?
But that's how society has changed, right? Because back in the day, it didn't matter. A man would open the door for a woman, whether it's his lady or not.
I can tell you why I fell off.
Why?
The ungratefulness with women. Ungratefulness.
I disagree.
See, you're not a man. And this is where I think it's going to get different, right? Because the way that a woman, the way that y'all are with your girlfriends, like, I could tell you something about your girlfriend. You'd be like, what? She said that? Because the way they are with us is totally different than the way they are with y'all together. I'm not trying to say, some women are a little bit more transparent than others, but I could tell you, so a lot of times when we men open up the door, hold the door, it becomes an era of that's what you're supposed to be. But with their girlfriend, it might have been, hey, thank you, girl. I appreciate you doing that. With us, it's a very, well, you a man, you're supposed to hold the door for me. And then we get, I'm telling you, this is why. Also, too, it became a point where the cost of sex has definitely plummeted in the last couple of years. Think about the courting process for a woman was strenuous. You used to have to go through her family. You had to go through her father. They would have to know what your intentions are. And, it took years to court a woman. Now, if we're going to be honest, it might take you a couple of days. So
it might take you an hour.
It might take you $40. So there's not a lot of incentive to keep that same energy up of that, where it's like, I'm not paying full price for something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that's why it fell off.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, again, I know that the responsibility want to be put back onto the shoulders of the man. Like, men should be this way, that way, but you can't blame. I mean, you're not going to pay extra for something in the store. You're not going to walk in the store and say, how much is this? $5. I'll give you 20. You're not going to do that. The same way we as men feel. Like, we see what's out here, we see how it is when it comes to, when we're dating other women. And I tell you what, like, there's nothing as a man, when we got a pretty woman on our side, women are the ones that's like throwing it at us. It is like they're coming at women for because all the time it's like, well, why do men cheat? No one ever asks and say, why do women go after men that are clearly in relationships? I'm not even talking about dudes who don't post their girl or whatever. I'm talking about men who visibly say, I am with Mahalia right now, and women will come at me, but yet I will be considered as the cheating bastard.
Because you are. Because if you know because if you know you're in a relationship with me, it doesn't matter who's throwing themselves at you, right? If we're saying we're monogamous, it doesn't matter who's throwing themselves at you. Because of course women do that, right? It's like it's a challenge. Some women like intentionally do that, like, oh, this person is with this person, I'm going to try and steal him away.
I swear it happens. But
and vice versa too. Some men do that.
Some men do. Okay, so, and I'm not making excuses for it, although it sounds like an excuse. I'm just giving a reason for it, okay? We're not used to, us as men, we're not used to having women give us attention. So a lot of times we just don't know how to handle it. So I'm serious. We could go out and fellas, I mean, I know there's gonna be a bunch of men be like, not me, that don't happen to me. And, but for some, I'm gonna speak for the average man, okay?
Okay.
I could go out, buy a really nice cologne, put that cologne on. Maybe a friend, not someone that like a randomly walking by, but like somebody I know might give me a compliment on my cologne. But no woman typically would pay that no mind. You know what I'm saying? You can do something, it's like you could get fellas could get a good haircut. No woman is gonna be like, hey, like I never seen a brother on the phone. I never seen a brother on a bus stop and a bunch of women be like, hey, handsome, unless he was like the exception to the rule. But not an average 5'7" brother, they not giving that. So when a brother gets in a good relationship and he got that glow, and then now he gets attention from other women, it's like, damn, I never had this before. So it's like, shit, I don't even know how to handle it. That's why you see
That's not an excuse, though.
I get it. Again, I just don't want to give a perfect answer in an imperfect world, because I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to give us some type of explanation to why so many of us fall victim to that. I have fell victim to it too. Like, where women, I'd be like, damn, I remember when I got a really fancy car. When I got a really fancy car, I never got that attention. Like, I was like, this happens? You know what I'm saying? Like this, like I was literally like at the stoplight, and I had women honking their horn trying to get my attention. I'm like, this never happened in my Crown Vic. You know what I'm saying? Like I never got that before, but I got the range, and it was like, oh, okay, all right, I see
so
it.
thinking of that, so how would you feel if like a woman approached you, like she's seriously interested in you?
I think it's better.
It's better for the woman to approach.
I think it takes a lot of pressure off. And I know a lot of women feel like they're like, what? Because a man's opposed to, and I get it. I get it. But I tell you, when a woman puts it out there, that the only problem that you have a lot of times when that happens, when a woman approach you, it's like she's not. It's like she got to go for it because she don't really have any other choice. Like her bargaining chips are kind of like down. So
what do you mean? It's
like she has either a bunch of kids, a bunch of like baggage, financial debt. So it's like she's shooting her shot basically at every man. You know what I'm saying? Put it out there, but it's nothing that's like really like, damn, she wants me. And it really do help because you can understand, again, like from the male perspective, we're often in a space where it feels like we gotta do it. Like as if like you're just a man, it is so expected of you to do it, and you feel like you're just another placeholder half the time. Like there's really not even a lot of gratitude that come with when we do good things. It's like, oh well, you're a man, you're supposed to make sure my life is easier. And it's like, damn. So when a woman is like, I want you and I appreciate you and I see you, it makes us be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, she is so much different. You know what I'm saying? Like she is so much different. Like I swear, to get a compliment or to get, and I'm not saying like I haven't received compliments. I'm just saying that they fall far and in between. They're not like, you could go out right now and you could go walk in the street. Somebody be like, hey, beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I have seen women with the Corona mask on their face, with sunglasses on, a hoodie, and dudes be like, "Hey, beautiful." It's like she can see her face. Like, "Hey, gorgeous." You like what? You know what I'm saying? But a brother can get his whole lineup, and you won't see none of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's real. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's intimidating.
For what?
Like if you just see another man and he looks good, like you have no interest in him, but you just want to say like, "Oh, you look good, brother."
Right.
I think it's intimidating because you don't want to come off like you're interested. So I know a couple times I've told like men who like I'm like, he looks nice. I'm like, you look very nice.
He ain't know
I just keep it pushing. Yeah.
He ain't know how to take it either. He's like, what? Look.
Right. It's just like the smile. It's like, oh, thank you. It's
Right.
But I think I'm gonna start doing that more.
Another thing I got to put out there too, and this is another real reason why it's so much easier for a woman to do it now, because we do live in an unfortunate era where a lot of men are getting accused of SA, and a lot of men are getting accused of, being like a flirt from you could be considered to be okay, but a flirt from another man could be considered as harassment.
It's not flirting, it's just a compliment.
No, but I'm just saying a simple, hey, how you doing, miss? You look nice today, could come from, like, it's a post where they said something like, that coming from Mars Chestnut is welcome. But it came from a Faison Love, and it was like, that's harassment. So it's really takes it. Like a lot of us men are really, like, I have become increasingly cautious with women that I have come in, especially in this forum as, where I'm at, and even when I'm out and about, because my intentions may be, Dad, you look nice, such. And then their intentions may be like, whoa, hold up. He's being a little too flirtatious with me, and so forth and so on. So it is a really good icebreaker when she could kind of put it out there or flirt. Because even for me, I don't recognize a flirt. I told that to women all the time. I don't recognize the flirt, because half the time when I go out, like if I go out to a club or bar, I'm pretty much looking at my surroundings. I'm pretty much, maybe conversating with someone else I might know. I don't see it. A woman damn near got to flash me. Like, like, oh, okay, I see what they're about. Now I see what it's about. And they'll tell me later on, like, yo, I had the biggest crush on you, and blah, 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 blah. And I'll be like, for real? Why didn't you say something?
I think one thing I think about you, I have, for the time that I've known you.
Right.
I feel like you always come off very very professional and to the point. So I don't. Well, this is how I feel, right? Maybe other people feel differently. I don't feel like you linger or do anything inappropriate. Like with touching, like just like the excess touching. You know, some men, it's always like the touching on the shoulder.
I'm not going there.
You don't do any of that, which is good. So I feel like you always come off very professional and respectful.
I appreciate that.
Which is great.
I just don't want to be in a situation where somebody could throw my name. For those who know, we in Philly. Philly is a big, small city.
It is. Oh my goodness.
It's really, because I in case y'all can't already tell, I don't have the most bubbliest personality. So,
when you get to know you do.
Yeah, I would say, like, I'm one of them, like, once you know me, you be like, oh, he don't mean nothing by it. But I am a condescending kind of an a-hole half the time. Like, and I don't mean nothing by it. It's just, what it is too, another reason why this works for me, and it kind of goes sort of for how I am. When I talk to a woman, we do not talk about sex. Like, if you know any woman I ever was involved with, sex to me is the inevitable. Like, it's going to happen one way or another, whether it happened today or tomorrow, it's going to happen, whatever. So I'll be wanting to know so much other stuff about you. And so it's like I'm asking these probing ass questions, but it's like I'm really just wanting to know. Like, I'm just really inquisitive. Like, meeting someone is like meeting a whole new world. And it's like, I want to know what's going on in this world right here. Yeah. And some of the stuff, I actually agree with you 100%, but it's like, no, for the sake of, I want to hear the other side of it. So, and I do feel like that. Like, I do get kind of prejudged on that, because they like, I don't get the chance to see that side. And people who know me, like, the women in my life, I was like, if you need me, I'm there. I support you everything you can. But I know I could rub a little wrong way. You know what I'm saying? I could rub a little wrong way.
I've seen you. I would say I've seen you before. Like, before I met you, I saw you at another event.
Right.
And yeah, you don't come off as very approachable. And I think it's just the way you look. You're very built and buff. So it's like, you don't come off as like the friendly dude.
Like, that nigga been in jail before. Yeah, stay away from him. You know what I'm saying? You can tell his ass been in jail.
But that's maybe, stereotypes in people's heads.
I agree. I have heard that before too. I have heard that several times, because again, bald head, tattoos, dark-skinned brother, I have heard that. And then also too, women, they don't necessarily approach like that. Like, they're, they for some reason, because we as men, we're looking from the outside in, like, girl, you should approach, because you are not getting shot down. You are gorgeous. But from a woman's standpoint, it's like, I don't know, But then again, when women do approach, they go for the bigger fish, and it's like. You know what I'm saying? It's like, go for the brother working at Home Depot right now that haven't received a compliment in forever, that's trying to help people out. And I just tell women that too, like, smile, be friendly. Like, a lot of women they come off very cold and callous, and it's just like, it's just like, and it's like, girl, you need a hug, But a lot of women, and I get it, you gotta be this way, but we do gotta shake that up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Look, final thoughts. Go ahead, put your final thoughts out there. Let me get, you know what I'm saying?
Final thoughts. I think in our, society, in our culture, I think people have a lot of growing to do, mentally, emotionally, overcoming their own traumas, overcoming the dysfunction, the normalized dysfunction, and it's hard to do it. It's hard when it's like you grew up in this environment. This is what you were nurtured in. This is what you know. It's hard to come out of it. It's hard to come out of the mindset. Even if you excel financially, and let's say you move out the hood, or, you're just in a better space physically, the mental aspect of it, the maturity of it. I think sometimes that's why it's like, you're talking about accountability. Some people just like to attack because they don't have the maturity to actually have a conversation with opposing ideas without feeling triggered. So it's overcoming all the traumas that they've had. Once you work on your traumas, you could sit down and have those hard conversations, those difficult conversations, and walk away from it feeling like, oh, okay, like I grew, I learned something. This person is not my enemy. They're not trying to like, they're not trying to belittle me. We're literally just having opposing conversations. Yeah.
That's why, like, the whole premise of, and for those who know, this is The Future is Female, but we also had the other podcast is called The Kitchen Table. And the Kitchen Table podcast is the place in which we as Black folks go when we needed to have hard conversations. It was where I never forgot when my father died. My mother set me down at the kitchen table, and that's what she told me. She would do my sister's hair, and while she doing my sister's hair, she would usually at that time she was telling me about what I needed to be doing in school and how. But that we had that conversation. But the flip side of it is, and this is when we're going to grow to, is where we actually break bread at the kitchen table, where we actually be able to, because that's where it's about. It's like we had a conversation. Now let's just talk about it. I mean, let's eat and we pray and we get over it. So that's why I call it the kitchen table. So we can have that, because that's a centerpiece. And I feel like that's where we as in our families and everything that's where the house is controlled from. That's where my mom used to pay bills at the kitchen table. The bills would get front out there. She would lay it out. She would pay it all at the kitchen table. The sports, we talked about politics, you know what I'm saying? That's when we found out who wasn't doing what in office. It all went down at the kitchen table. So that is the premise of everything here. And this is the reason why and what The Future is Female, the reason why you don't see me, because it's for you to have your voice. It's for you to be the complete focus to be on you and your voice. And I know people like, but I hear you all the time. I know that's what they say. But at least that was the thought process, as if, can we have a place? Because I felt like it was too often where when you see Black men and Black women on social media, we just saw a debate and an argument. It was just like, damn it, can she even get her point out? And
talking about nonsense, though. Like talking about celebrities, sex, just relationship topics. It could be important, but I think it's just like, just talking about foolishness. Talk about something else to uplift people.
Right, we got to grow. I mean, again, we can have our relationship talks. And we had our relationship talk, but let's just, again, we don't got to completely just beat the dead horse of 50-50 and everything else. Like, you know what I'm saying? So... But with that being said, again, tell people where they can find you at.
I'm not really a social media person. But I do have an Instagram. But I'm the type of person, I love to have conversations with people. People who know me know that it's like, let's go for a walk. Let's go walk in the park, walk on a trail, and have a conversation. So cool.
She's available for bookings, you guys, as well. So if y'all want to go ahead and book her for, a panel discussion or something like that, I'll have all her information. So, but with that being said, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your energy. I just appreciate having you here.
Yeah, this was fun.